There's pride. It's not about a number, it's about a project.
I worked with Sheet Brain.
The kids, when they give their presentations, they have to say, you know, I'm giving this presentation over this, and I'm hitting these standards.
It will be over suicide awareness and prevention, and that is my part.
And I'm doing suicide terrorism.
There are 2 different types of telescopes.
And so I have them right here.
It is exhausting to teach this style, but I don't ever want to go back.
I went around and asked some parents. I said, so what do you think of the PBL? And I mean, honestly, the parents were like, I've never seen my kid this excited.
How many of you before this class would look at something and think, I might fail that? And you would step back and not do it, okay? How many of you now would look at something and think, I might fail that, but I'm gonna take the chance anyway?
Just a little bit, though. Just say it's come up a little bit.
Now, how do you see the Kansans Can vision aligning with the PBL that you have going in your school?
Okay, so
at the high school level, sure, I guess I need to address that.
It is 912. So, and again, because as of right now, we're only offering science, history, and English. The biggest thing I would say the biggest thing I'm seeing is how much we're preparing these kids for post-graduation. You know, because they're getting community involvement, they're getting, they're understanding what they need to learn instead of just sitting back and listening to a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I love CTE and I love studying it. So I tried to make my own CTE brain. But what CTE does is when you have a bunch of hits to your head, it makes this protein called tau spread in your brain and it destroys it. And so the closest I could get to doing that was just dehydrating it, and it actually did decrease in size a little bit.
So the other things,
yes.
Are you seeing students, are they changing their career path? Are they changing their ideas post-secondary wise?
You know, I don't know yet, just because we're in the first year. I don't know if any of our kids that were already planning on going, you know, the college route, I think they're, you know, none of those have changed. I don't know if it's pushing any more to college, but also, you know, really most of our kids that are in there are our freshmen and sophomore. Because it was new, a lot of the older kids didn't want to take the chance. Mm-hmm. You know, they're like, I'm almost done with school. I would say that's most of the reason, you know, we don't know, because those kids that were younger, they haven't really started deciding, mm-hmm. you know, where they want to be. They're starting to think about it, you know, but those juniors and seniors are the ones that we would really know, you know, if they've really changed. But our freshmen and sophomore didn't really know a whole lot different. You know, they're like, oh, this is high school, you know.
Everything's new. Right. It's like a reboot once they get to the high school.
The grading system makes you think you have to be this certain level when you can go beyond what you think you can go beyond.
I know that if I wouldn't have taken these classes, I would not be willing to stand up in the medical class and talk like even a single word.
We've thrown a lot at them. Like when we started, it's like, okay, here's what we think it's going to be, and this is how we're starting it. And literally almost after every 6 weeks, we've come back and said, okay, now we're going to change this.
And seeing things work cross-curricular.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we haven't even mentioned that, but yeah.
She is the most shyest person you'll ever meet, and she did a project of her own. Like we were able to do a project for her own presentation, and like you see the creativity there, and you've never seen it before in your life. It's awesome.
PBL can also help with disability and dyslexia. They can learn in different ways, but teachers go by a specific way, don't they?
Yeah.
They go by a specific way, and they don't realize other people can learn differently.
You know, if one teacher feels very confident in how this works, you know, other teachers it's easy to follow suit because you've seen how they work and you're like, oh, that works, okay, I can try that. Or
Any last thought you could say about PBL? Why should schools do this?
I know that in history, I hated that class. I don't connect with that kind of thing. So when I get to look at standards and see it, and then something that pops in my head, I can take 6 weeks to learn about that and then present it. That helps me a lot.
yeah, and you put the classes together and that's pretty awesome.
It really is.
Yeah.
How is it about each student? Because that's one of the main platforms, I guess, is
Sure.
about it being each student. And like what you've described, every kid picks their own based on their own interests.
Correct.
So they're driving their future and they don't really
Yes.
know it.
Right. So
Well, maybe they do.
I don't think they know it quite yet. I mean, we've kind of stressed that a little bit, but I think, the girl that did the heart, she wants to go in the medical field. So that's what a better way than, she's learning all the other physical science stuff from the other students. But when she does her project and she really has like the best knowledge, it's over the stuff that she's really interested in. And that's what's gonna, I think, help post-graduation, because if she got in there and she'd still know everything she thought she needed to know about the heart. But what if she didn't like it? She's like, what? This was not interesting as I thought, because some kids will say, well, I really like gaming. Well, what do you like about gaming? I like to play video games. But what do you want to, how are you going to relate that to our school, in your school work? Well, I don't know. And then they try, like, we had one kid that tried the, designing the games. Well, he didn't like it. He just said, this is not fun, right? So why keep doing it? Now he's able to, so he is finding things he thought he liked and he can move on, and which is definitely preparing him for after graduation, because now he's thinking, well, that's what I thought I wanted, but now I've changed my mind and I can focus on something different.
So some of the English standards that we covered, I guess you could say, would be public speaking, use of technology, informative writing, and then screenplay and creative writing.
For my history side of it, in American history, I did it over domestic terrorism.
The kids, when they give their presentations, they have to say, I'm giving this presentation over this, and it's for science and history, and I'm hitting these standards. So, the teachers know right then, okay, I can check that off. Plus, the students that are getting to listen to another student talk is so much different than a teacher standing up there saying,
Definitely.
Okay, pull out your textbooks, we're going to read this, now we're going to take a test over it.
Yay.
There are no tests.
Yes.
I once had a colleague that said, never let school get in the way of education. And school gets in the way of learning a lot. But when you can put a bunch of kids in a room and let them go, there aren't as many hoops to jump through or T's to cross, and they get more.
How many of you are more engaged to come to class than you were before?
I had a lot of people say, well, is this really college and career ready? To me it is, because it's problem solving. We're giving you the standards.
Oh, yeah.
We hand the kids the standards and we say, and what other class do they get the standards and they know what they have to learn by the end?
You mentioned earlier that one of the hardest parts was the teachers letting go a little bit. And now that they're seeing how it works, do you see them as excited as the kids are as the projects develop and their skills grown, and then their relationships with each one of the kids that they may or may not have connected with as much in the traditional setting?
I do think that the teachers do have just they're able to work a lot more one-on-one, because it's individual projects. You're not saying everybody's working on the same thing. You're able to go over and say, hey, how's this going? What? And it's not like everybody's kind of working again on the same thing. You may have an English 3 student and an English 2 two students sitting right next to each other, and they're kind of bouncing ideas off each other. And the same thing goes for science, the same thing goes for history. It's like, oh, well, have you thought of this? And then you get the teachers involved, and they kind of get to talk about some of their kind of passions that they had and why they got in, and the kids get to see a different side, I think, which is neat.